2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Cannabis Legalization News, where we explain marijuana laws so you can change them. Tom, Mickey, we have 30,000 subscribers. Holy crap.
Yeah.
30,000 people are out there trying to learn about the cannabis industry and smashing likes, and then staying on top of where the legislation is in their respective jurisdictions. For example, do you know what state comes out on September 1st with cannabis license applications?
Jersey?
No, not Jersey, but Jersey's close. Jersey's coming. It looks like New Mexico will be hitting application season come September 1st, and then Connecticut.
That's dope. That's really dope, dude.
Yep. So we're getting a whole bunch of calls at cannabisindustrylawyer.com about Connecticut and also at New Mexico. It should be fun. Both of them at 3 million people.
Oh, 3 million people?
3 million people. So Connecticut is about the same population as New Mexico, but substantially different. Substantially different density of population.
Well, be sure to hit that like and hit Tom on a Cannabis Industry Lawyer on Instagram for a shirt. Subscribe because we want to hit that 100,000 mark. And Tom said he'll do topless at the 100,000 mark.
Yeah. I was going to go on to OnlyFans, but evidently my window of selling this ass is closing.
No, they took it back. They changed it, so we're good. We can go full nude now.
Oh, okay. I see. They were just using it to get in the news. They were just using it to get in the news.
Probably, man. But yeah, how about these 6 industries blocking cannabis legalization?
6 industries are blocking cannabis legalization. Let's play this as a group before we even get going. Okay, number 1, the alcohol industry. Number 2, the pharmaceutical industry. Number 3, I'm going to say Philip Morris. Number 4, petrochemicals. Number 5, insurance, because they just hate everything. And then number 6. Is law enforcement or criminal just like is there? Yeah, but then is law enforcement an industry, or is law enforcement kind of like I never think of the firefighters and it's an industry. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's a great way to think about it, but unfortunately, these dickheads do. I mean,
let's go over them. What is the actual 6 industries that are standing in the way of cannabis legalization in our country?
Well, some of it's old news and have now pivoted to supporting legalization because they see the money. Should it be allowed? Is it just? They sowed deceit in the form of anti-marijuana propaganda from the beginning and started making revenue from it without putting in the work to dispel the stigma. So for one, obviously the for-profit private prisons. More marijuana convictions led to fuller prisons and more profit. Statistics indicate that the spread of legalization to varying degrees among states has resulted in an estimated $2 billion loss in value. That's insane. $2 billion in legal states.
$2 billion gone in legal states. But that's not that much. I mean, some industries are fairly large. How much did they stand to lose? Was it more than $2 billion?
But when the argument when states become legal, whether it's be medical or recreational, and their argument is, well, we just can't tell, if it's legal weed or not legal weed. It doesn't freaking matter.
Right. Prison guard unions are picketing this. Can you believe that? Because why would they want their union benefits getting messed up because they aren't allowed to arrest hundreds of thousands of people for cannabis and throw them away?
Well, do you remember, I think it was in Arizona a couple of years ago where a prison sued the state because they weren't filling up the seats fast enough for them. That's effed up when you can
when you have a profit margin in crime and you call it legal. That's the whole thing. You're not supposed to have illegal profits. And then they're like, well, we're going to privatize this prison industry. So you're going to incentivize crime.
You incentivize bad behavior. That's exactly it.
You're incentivizing crime with privatized prisons.
Yeah. Well, and again, some things don't need to be privatized, right? There should be this, what we hope was the American way, this altruistic, we're out for your betterment. We're here for you, buddy. We're going to make sure you have a successful and not come back. Let's avoid recidivism. But, fortunately,
for a country founded on the premise of a more perfect union, unions are really political in this country. I just don't get it. But
you don't say.
Alcohol and beer companies. Can you believe that?
No.
Alcohol and beer companies are lobbying against one of the primary financial backers of the public safety net. The No on Prop 19 campaign was the California Beer and Beverage Distributors Association.
That's funny. And then look what they're doing now. St. Ides, they're involved in the cannabis industry as well as Rainier or Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, they don't want to change. That's what it is. A lot of businesses, we don't need to innovate, and that's why they go out of business. But sometimes businesses get dragged into an innovation, and then they go. And so you hear about that a lot in the cannabis industry. The ancillary products, for example, we had the Boveda people on, and they gave us all those Boveda packs, and that was an ancillary. Like suddenly they just started selling all these Boveda packs in, the Humboldt County or Northern California, and they're like, why is that? It's like, oh, people are using it for weed.
Yeah. Oh, why are all these turkey bags being? Is it Thanksgiving every day? What's going on?
How come so many turkey bags are shipped to this area in California?
Well, just like here in Washington State, I made the observation that propane tanks are a big thing. When dabbing was a big thing out here, they probably were confused because their stock just went up from the regular camping industry to like the dabbers. Like there is auxiliary, there is a lot of waste and whatnot out there though. But yeah, and then also big tobacco, like you said, tobacco companies want to erase the rules and write their own. Go figure.
Oh my gosh. These are the same people that in the mid-90s, tobacco execs were testifying under oath to Congress that they did not believe tobacco or nicotine or cigarettes cause lung cancer.
We've done studies and we found ourselves clean.
It's just impossible for somebody who's getting paid something to believe something that makes them not get paid. And so like the prison guards, the alcohol companies, the tobacco companies, all these people that are like, wait, if we let them in, we're going to lose money. We can't let them in.
Right. Opposed to just readjusting their how they do their marketing or their target, audiences or whatever, that's how you survive. You adjust.
Yeah. Adapt, innovate, iterate, find out what the people are wanting right now. It's not like trends ever change, right? That's because trends don't ever really change. Like, what's up with mom jeans and those like circle sunglasses? I'm like, what is this like an episode of Blossom from the mid 90s? Like why is this popular again? It just is.
But I'm not a smart man, but like cannabis and alcohol both proven to be recession proof, right? Like cannabis is going nowhere now. Like two bases out of two.
Because if you're stressed out, joint really helps. But if you want to celebrate, the joint really helps.
Really helps. No. True story. And not only that, that joint is also probably doing harm reduction, right? So now you're going to drink less. You're going to already feel that whatever feeling you're trying to achieve earlier, sooner. So all use is medicinal use, in my opinion.
Well, I believe that once we have true substitute goods and true equality of substances between alcohol and cannabis, for example, I can go buy a 6-pack of good beer for about $10. I cannot go buy a 6-pack of good joints for about $10. Now, I'm not talking like full joints, but even cannabis beverages. So Pabst is in that. So if you try to go get the Pabst cannabis beverage, first, it doesn't taste like cannabis. And second, it's ridiculously expensive. So, right. And I'm just trying to get about 30 milligrams deep, because that'll make me feel good. And so like 5 milligrams per can, flavored of Super Silver Haze, or like it's got like a weed flavor. That's what I'm looking for. That would be awesome. $10. But when is that going to happen? Never.
I don't want to say never, man. We are further and further than we were.
Maybe for my 50th birthday. But when I turn 50, I hope to be able to get a $10 sixer of weed beer.
You're just talking about how Illinois is rolling out the program.
Hey, man, I got people that are calling me about, using because the craft grower license can also extract. So let's get some brews going in Illinois, man. No,
totally. That should be one. So this one I didn't really see it coming. The forestry industry is against legalization.
Why is the forestry industry against cannabis legalization?
Because the production of hemp would threaten current paper production driven by the forestry industry. In fact, the forestry industry has a long and sordid history of opposing hemp. The drive to repeal U.S. hemp production began in the 30s with William Randolph Hearst. This is part of that, like, the conspiracy that's not a conspiracy, right? Like,
it's not a conspiracy if it's true. And then you've seen how much crap in the past they used to straight up like Nazi propaganda weed out of the way. Like they really just took something that was in the pharmacopoeia, was not referred to as marijuana, was not really widely aware, known, or even LaGuardia report, like in New York, they knew what it was. They didn't care. They were much more concerned about, actual drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
But dude, They just made up lies, got people to believe them, and pushed everybody else out of the way.
But because everybody questions, like, how did we get to where we're at now? Like, how is this plant like so evil that like things over the counter are more harmful and FDA approved than the plant itself? But yet we have people serving long stints of time, right? Like, there's this disbelief of like everything. The rules are all right, and the rules aren't all right.
But those are the rules, and so if we play by them, we can be normal. And then if we're normal, we're safe.
Right.
Yeah.
But to get to the point we're at was with like the paper industry and the alcohol industry and oil. None of these people wanted hemp to see the light of day.
And plastics.
And
then,
petroleum.
Think about rare earth metals, because I can't wait till we can farm us some graphene here in the plains of Illinois and make a whole bunch of great like hemp derived graphene. But that's like a 2034 problem.
Well, and it is. While we're trying to sort out this hot mess, because I don't know if you saw the video I did yesterday where I talked about how I came across hemp toothpaste, right? Like, that's the new brand. Just throw on hemp on it, slap hemp potato chips, right? Like, it's not CBD. Like, I think it's a workaround towards that kind of stuff, right? Now you're just trying to pander to an ignorant audience. Like, it's called hemp. It's good.
Right. Well, come on. If you put like keto on something, you can sell it for more money. And so if provided that you have, one of the things that I want to do is I want to slap social equity on our cannabis labels, and just to be like, we should brand that. Why? Because they can't. So they can't touch craft. And then all the MSO operators in the state, they aren't social equity. That's a social equity company. And then so it'll be interesting to see the branding of the goods and products that the new license holders are going to be able to put out into the system.
Well, I think once once we get there with your clients and help build the brick and mortar and establish it, which I'm 100% down to get that accreditation, work with all the QMSs and whatnot. It's going to be exciting, and this is like the weird like flex, right? Like of like we're helping the industry, but it costs a shit ton of money to be in the legal industry, right? We created this barrier of compliance. Yeah,
right. You said you're going to reduce the barriers to entry to this business, and if you want to grow or make products for cannabis in this business, you must be GMP certified.
Yeah, which is totally feasible and responsible in a industry, in an industrial industry.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it like a lower barrier to entry. If anything, that puts your price to enter the market higher because you need that level of compliance.
Well, it's like, again, we talked about opening a restaurant. You don't just walk in and be like, I got $100 today. I'm going to open a taco stand tomorrow.
Some people may, but that's like if they have very, very, lax regulations, depending on which jurisdiction you are in. But moving on with the other people that are standing in the way of cannabis legalization, you have Big Pharma. So in 2016, Insys Therapeutics, an Arizona-based pharmaceutical company, gave $500,000 for Arizona's for responsible drug policy, one of the biggest anti-marijuana groups in the state. And that was a year where they didn't vote to legalize it. They voted to legalize it 4 years later.
I think that same company, they're also in bed with the fentanyl company. They're the ones that made that stupid-ass fentanyl commercial. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's like a talking fentanyl jar in a rap video. It's so messed up and pandering. It was one of those ones that they send to the doctors and say, hey, we got a new drug for you. We want you to prescribe it to your, because that's how pharma works, right? They go on a circuit to all these little doctors and bring them all these conventions, say, hey, come to this convention, and we're going to be in Maui. And by the way, if you sell our product, we'll give you an extra commission.
Mm-hmm. Here's some samples.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just horribly wrong how we have the structure for your betterment.
Yeah. Well, in I'm not all that shocked news, Big Pharma is standing in the way of it. And they have no problem helping to facilitate 90,000 opioid deaths in 2020. But God forbid they would legalize something that would make a dent in those opioid deaths.
Yeah, Vice found that many of the researchers who have advocated against legalizing pot have also been on a payroll of leading pharmaceutical firms with products that could be easily replaced by using marijuana. Shock face.
Shock face. Like, for example, in 2014, Dr. Herbert Klepper of Columbia University was quoted in the press and academic publications warning against the use of marijuana, which he stresses may cause wide-ranging addiction and public health issues. Interesting. However, he was serving as a paid consultant to the leading prescription drug companies, including including Purdue Pharmaceuticals. That's right, the Purdue Pharmaceuticals from the OxyContin crisis. And Rickett Bexner, the producer of a painkiller called Norepinephrine, and Alkemeries, the producer of a powerful new opioid called Zohydro.
And again, the holistic approach should be your first option. Legalization is about having an options. It's not about like this is the best thing for everybody.
Yeah, but lobbying is about paying people to get what you want in law.
That's true. But then speaking of, the other one, the police. Of course, these jackwagons are against it. Most police departments have a lot of extra revenue from auctioning off seized property during a pot bust. Thank you, asset forfeiture.
No, do not think asset forfeiture. That is just a terrible violation of your rights right there. It's frustrating because they're going to sit there and they're going to take all your stuff before you've been found guilty of anything, and they're going to hold it from you as evidence while they prosecute you. So now you have no money to hire a lawyer, even though you haven't been found guilty of anything. If they're going to use it as evidence, that's cool. Why don't you book it as evidence and then can I have my cash back so I can go hire this lawyer? No, you know how much cash you have. You'll have that much of a judgment against me if I'm found guilty. Otherwise, you're just taking my shit wrongfully.
And let's also talk about the fact that the person himself can be taken away. Roger Christie served 5 years behind bars without a trial. 5 years on hold.
5 years on hold. Roger Christie.
Like how is that even legal after at what point there is no point where you can raise a bullshit flag and be like, hey, you've detained me for more than, I don't know, a week, if that should be even a thing.
Well, again, he couldn't hire a lawyer. He didn't have any money. He's just being detained.
Yeah, I mean, technically he was under the religious pretense. But again, it was in Hawaii too. One of the places where I think I would want to be smoking weed.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I want to be smoking some weed. So you want to play some Name That Strain real quick?
Let's do it.
Hey, YouTube, remember, we are totally compliant, and I live in a legal state. Miggy lives in a legal state. We are discussing a botanical, and it looks like that botanical has a little bit of a trim issue in its lower left corner right there. Some of those sugar leaves, I would have said, needed to get off of that.
Yeah, they're a little big, but very nice hunter green color with lots of little like red hairs. You can tell they were very trim close to it. Very nice.
Yes. And so it's a decent trim, kind of like a golf ball-esque size bud, I would imagine. I have no idea what it smells like. I'm not even sure what one it is because I'm not reading the show notes right now. But you know what?
I imagine this one's going to be more of a terpene profile. I'd give a hint of a myrcene, pinene, and clariphene.
This was the same thing that we had that hash joint on when we were in Seattle, and we went to Sitka. Sitka gave us a hash joint of this.
That's right. That was the wasn't that the one that was half wrapped that you dropped in an event?
Hey, no, but it is 420 somewhere. And while you guys are guessing, we'll take a little bumper right here. Remember, this would be something that would knock you out for sleep.
Hey, get in contact if you're looking to scale your business, cannabis business, patent your plant, raise money for your cannabis business. Hit Tom up.
Yeah, man. So you can head on over to Cannabis Industry Lawyer, and then we've hooked this up. So now when you hit the self-learning options, we have knowledge.cannabis industry lawyer that we are launching right now. And that's going to lead you to our mastermind course where you're going to go through and get everything that you would need to organize, structure your business, and to raise money for it. I try to get you right up to the point where you'd need a lawyer to start papering this deal.
I got one more thing since we're just kind of going to be on hold for a little bit. And this was brought to my attention on Instagram, and then most of our people in our room know about this situation. As what Rob says, the Gromies. So check this.
CLTV. Shout out to them.
Shout out to Rob. So check this out. This is pretty messed up. That happened in Oklahoma. And you can tell me, be the judge. So this gentleman, Russ Brandon, let's just check out his Instagram real quick. I want you to just guess what he does for a living. Just guess what.
He's a cultivator.
Right?
Yeah.
So this gentleman clearly is in Oklahoma doing business and at the same time is being harassed. Here he videotaped himself in the back seat of the car, being arrested by the cops. No pretense. Probably pulled over for smell, right? In an illegal state. And worst of all, it was in front of his kid. Like his kid and his wife were true troopers, and they sat there calmly and waited. And then he wins at the end. He comes back. They had to release him because they had no recourse. They had no means to reasonable to hold him back. So if you're in Oklahoma, watch out. There's still prohibition empowers bad behavior, and that's what these guys are doing. This was a shakedown. Clearly, I think it was a shakedown.
And a lot of the industry flocked to Oklahoma. A lot of it flocked to Oklahoma because of how open the laws were and how non-saturated the market was when it started in 2018. When you're talking about either a Colorado or a California situation, and they just flocked to it. And now there are thousands of cannabis licenses in Oklahoma, and perhaps this is the beginning of the crackdowns and then the over-regulations, kind of like how when suddenly they've had too much, the moratoriums begin. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. Hey, has anybody guessed the name of that strain yet?
They haven't. But the thing
will
is,
knock you guys out.
It
like
will.
a specific thing.
It's a good indica. It's very gassy.
It's a good indica. Yeah, it's a famous one.
Speaking of
maybe
gassy,
I smoke hash joints about this. Yeah.
I got a little guy. I got what I have left in my grinder. Right, it's in my backpack, and I've already had 2 customers walk into my lab, and they're like, "Man, it smells like a stoner's dream." I got the gassiest, stoniest little nug that is polluting my little area. As soon as I get out of here, it's going to pollute my lungs.
Yep, it sure is. But we should give them more hints because nobody's gotten it yet. There is a weight attached to this one. In pounds.
How about would it be like Armin Siskel? Would that be a hammer?
No, we're not going commie on this show. It's all about freedom and legalization. And then somebody guessing an indica that has the word pound in it. And somebody who's like just torturing us, the anonymous people. Okay, somebody just nailed it. I'm sorry. I put it on, put it off. Okie blowing smoke, 23, 9-pound hammer. Now everybody's just chiming in with that 9-pound hammer, but Anonymous was just being a little cheeky. Just that hammer. I'm sorry. People are just blowing up stuff, and so before I can show the chat bot, like somebody else blows one up, and then it's just one higher. Yeah, 9-pound hammer. 9-pound hammer is a famous strain for indica, and it is probably based off of a Hindu Kush of some sorts because that is the strain for sleep. I don't know if it is based off of that. Let's go over because we have that under the show notes for the name of that strain. So let's see, 9-pound hammer. Take it away.
According to Leafly, 9-pound hammer is an indica marijuana strain created by jinx-proof genetics that crosses gooseberry, Hell's OG, and Jack the Ripper. These dense buds are coated in resin, offering sweet grape and lime flavors. 9-pound hammer hosts a terpene profile and abundant myrcene, pinene, and caryophyllene.
Caryophyllene. Now, the thing is, that's a cross of so many more contemporary crosses. I'm like, I don't know where the land race is on that.
It's funny too. Jinx, they've been around for a while, and I believe they're in Washington State because I think this guy testified against Homegrow, which kind of crushed me.
9-pound hammer to my heart.
Yeah. I was like, why is a guy who grows seeds and shit? Why are you against Homegrow? Of course. People overreact when it comes to regulation. Why? We have to assume the worst right away. We have to covet our bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Protect mine. I have this money and this cash flow. That is mine. I'm not sharing with anybody. What about your investors? Fine. I will comply with the terms of the limited partnership agreement. If you can keep me.
I mean, it's a good weed, though. It is a really good weed.
All right, that's going to do it for Cannabis Legalization News, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all cannabis legalization news. We'll see you later this week.